Good evening, everybody. This is Series 815 from BuildXP.com. Here to talk to you tonight a little bit about the Zepto lights from HighSpeedTech.com. I got lights in on Thursday evening. I'm playing around with them over the past 2 days, and I'm here to give you a little bit of the initial impressions that I got from the lights, go into the operation of them, and then, of course, what everybody's been waiting for, the actual light output of these things. I want to start off talking about what you get when you order these lights. When you order lights, of course, you get one set, left and right. Come in a nice little package. Very well packaged. Haven't had any problems with the package themselves. There's been no damage during shipping. When I received these, everything looked real good. What you do get is you get 2 indicators, of course, and 2 modules. There's one module for each light. They're in a set, it's not a match set, so it doesn't matter which light and which module you use, but you have to use a module per light, and this is what makes all the magic happen. So with that, let's go right into the light itself. This is one of the smallest turn signals on the market today, I believe. I think dual bronze might be close, but I don't have any personal experience with those at all. I must say that these are definitely as small as what they show in the pictures. A AA battery right here in my hand. The construction of these is really good. Solid aluminum core, or should I say solid aluminum housing. Finished on a lathe and CNC machine. You have a nice curvature, nice and smooth. Then shipped off to Indiana for anodizing. I opted for the black anodization, and it looks superb. To mount these is just like any other regular turn signal. It has its little stem with a nut on the end to give you 2 washers. And what I find particularly interesting that they looked at is, as you all know, on the stock tail lights, when you take them off, you have to slide the nut over those terminations. It's a real pain in the butt. What HighSpeedTech's done is they've put a slit into the nut itself, so you can just slide it around the wires. You don't have to worry about trying to wiggle the nut over the termination. So already good signs for these lights. Looks like they should fit pretty well in the stock locations. Of course, they don't have the little nipple that the stock lights on the XPs do, and I believe on the 1125s as well. But should be minor issue, if one at all. The rest of the light is pretty awesome. They use 3 high power LEDs. The actual wattage, I don't know. Total power consumption on the high setting is almost 9 watts, so that just tells you that each LED is about 2.5 watts. There's not a full 3 watt LED, I don't think, unless they use a 3 watt LED and just throttle it down a little bit for increased lifespan. These things are amazingly bright. HighSpeedTech has done a really good job with these. Thoroughly impressed. Over the top, to make these waterproof, they use an epoxy coating. So basically they do the aluminum housing first, then put in the little board with the LED lights, and then put epoxy over the top to make them watertight. With the 2 sets that I did receive, there's been a slight little problem during the manufacturing process, and I've already talked with Mike about it. I want to show you guys what's going on. When you get your lights, definitely check them out. Make sure you don't have the same problem. Let me show you this real quick. During the manufacturing process, when the epoxy is put on, the epoxy has to cure, and there are air bubbles underneath. And if the process is not done 100% correct, and all the steps are followed, you do get little air bubbles in the epoxy. And if you look at this, you can already see the one over the LED right over here. I'll spin around, you can see the air bubble move around. Alright, I called Mike about this immediately when I got the set, and after my initial inspection, you can see there's another small one right on this middle LED and another one over here. These are completely out of spec, per se. When I was talking to Mike, he was highly disappointed that he sent out a product like this. With them being at the expo, he wasn't there to do all the quality control on the lights when they got sent out. And I'm not entirely sure what happened, but replacements are on the way. The new sets are curing right now. You should send them out on Monday, last I heard, so problem should be solved. When I talked to Mike, he did say that you will see probably 2 small air pockets inside the epoxy, and by small, I do literally mean tiny. They should be 1/4 of a millimeter in size towards the very, very outsides of the light. So very, very minuscule. Barely even see it. If you do see it, you're way too close to the light. So other than that, they should be excellent. I definitely think Mike stands behind his product, so I'll do another video as soon as they come in. I'll show you guys right up close with the focus, the quality of those, or anybody else that has gotten them so far. If you haven't had any issues with lights, please post on the forum and share your experience as far as that goes. Now, once again, great light. Housing's done on a lathe. Take a CNC machine to it. Nice smooth curves. Just beautiful little piece. With that, let me go ahead and go into the module itself. The module is pretty trick. It's a 2-wire output, meaning that your LED just sees a plus and a ground signal, and the rest of it's all done inside the heat shrink. The module itself is waterproof. What I've done is they put the circuit board on the inside. You can sort of see the outline of a couple of components when you get real up close to it and feel over it. But there's epoxy on the ends and then the heat shrink over the top. So these are definitely watertight. For your inputs, obviously you're going to have a ground wire. You have your yellow programming wire. And then you have 2 circuits. You have a low intensity circuit, that's your red wire, and a high intensity circuit, your orange wire. Your low intensity circuit would be used for, 1, programming the module itself, because you have to have power to program your different flash rates and all that other good stuff. And then your orange is used, your high intensity circuit is used for the actual turn signal function. So far I haven't had any problems with these at all. Real small, you can tuck it away nice and neat. One of the modules was working and then all of a sudden went bad. Not sure entirely what happened with that. Right now it's stuck on a slow pulse for the low speeds or the low intensity circuit, and then a very fast flash for the turn signal circuit or the high intensity circuit. I've already labeled it as bad. Gonna send it back to Mike. He'll do a little research on what happened there. Chances are it's just failure rate of one of the components on the inside, probably within reason. There shouldn't be a problem for any of the other sets that do go out. Mike's been pretty awesome about everything so far. He definitely wants to stand behind his product, and will make every effort on his part to make sure that we all get a perfect product. With that, let's talk a little bit about the different operations of the lights. Of course, as you can hopefully have seen already on the forum, on the group buy thread that I posted, and of course on their webpage on highspeedtech.com, you've seen the different modes that the lights have. So I won't go into those right now. What I do want to talk about is different configurations of how you can wire these things up. And the neatest thing about these is that you don't have to have a flasher relay anymore, meaning that the module itself does the pulsing of the light. So if you're worried about running a LED turn signal relay, don't necessarily have to have it. We can bypass that altogether, and you don't have to worry about it anymore unless you want to switch back to the stock lights. Of course, if you already have an LED flasher circuit or you did the modification like what's on the forum, no problems, it should work pretty well. The only problem I've noticed is that when you do use the flasher relay, the best way to get good light output of these is on your high speed circuit. You need to set it on a very slow pulse, and that'll get you the best working turn signal for the bike. Once again, the low intensity circuit is for your parking lights or running lights, whatever you want to call them. And of course, all the different modes of operation. You also have that wire for that low intensity circuit. That red wire must be hooked up. You must have power to the light on the low intensity circuit for you to be able to program the light. So that means even if you don't want running lights, you have to have at least the red wire hooked up and then program the light using the yellow wire. After that, you can tuck the red wire away, put some heat shrink over it, whatever you want to do. The light will stay programmed, and from there you'll have your working turn signal. That's the only downside I really see to the whole program procedure, is that you have to have that red wire attached to do so. If you're not using the turn signal relay, of course this will flash on its own. It does not go completely off during the blink per se. You have, of course, your bright light for when your turn signal comes on, and when your turn signal comes off, it doesn't go completely black, it goes into the low intensity setting. The module doesn't itself go completely out. If you still have your turn signal relay, of course, you cut power completely to the high intensity circuit, the light goes out. If you're running both your running lights plus your flasher, when the relay turns off the turn signal, you will still of course have your running light, so you have your low intensity followed by high intensity flash. And that's pretty much everything. They're pretty fun to play with. I currently have it set up on the bike just for testing. I'm not going to mount these. Not going to hard mount these on the motorcycle because I do want to send them back to Mike so that we can do a thorough inspection of what went wrong on these. And then we'll go from there. Right now I'm going to pause the video and then we'll set up further back. I'll show you guys the light output. Light output's incredible. If you don't feel like watching anymore, just know that it beats the stock turn signals by far. Field of view is very, very wide and tall as well, so all the ways from the outside, top, bottom, these things are bright. Even on the low intensity setting, or the low intensity circuit, these are a good bit brighter than the stock turn signals. On the high intensity circuit, there's no comparison at all. These things win. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get the setup back here. Alright guys, so what I've done so far is I've hooked up the high intensity circuit to my turn signal, so that way I can actually use the turn signal on that using the regular flasher switch up front on the controls, and I've hooked up the low intensity circuit to the battery so it's constant on, just to show you guys some of the operation. Of course, right now you can see the low intensity circuit. These are actually really bright. You've got a 500 watt light shining up here right now to give me some light in the garage. One of the work lights. But these are pretty bright. Just even by themselves on the low intensity circuit. The little flashing you're seeing is just how they create the low intensity. What happens is called PWM, pulse width modulation. Basically it turns the LEDs on and off really, really fast. To the naked eye, you can't see the flicker. The camera does pick it up just because of the refresh rates. So don't be alarmed, this is not actually flashing. It is a nice low intensity solid light that you see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to program it real quick. We're going to go through the different modes of operation for the low intensity circuit and then go into the turn signal. All I'm going to do is, of course, touch your yellow wire to quick pulse or over half a second of power. And it should reprogram. What we have now is one of the faster pulses. It's a little difficult to see. You should see the luminance come brighter and then tone down again if you look real close. And that is the fast pulsing running light. Touch it again for a little bit over half a second. Then slows it down. This is the medium pulse rate. It's a little difficult to see. You kind of have to look at the surrounding illumination around the S-tail to really see what's going on. Touch it one more time, and it goes into the slow pulse. Me personally, if I were going to do running lights, not that I want them, but if I was going to do them, I would have them just steady state, no pulsing at all. Just like so. And there you go. Those are the modes of operation for the low intensity circuit. The program, the high intensity circuit, of course, is just a quick touch of battery power to the yellow wire. The LED will show the mode of operation real quick and then go back into the low intensity setting. So for instance, the couple of real quick in succession flashes is what you will have on your high intensity circuit. And just to show you that, I'm going to pull the high intensity wire back off real quick, attach it to the battery just so I can show you guys what it would do if you did not have a flash or relay. And it will look something just like this. You can tell it gives you a couple of fast pulses and then goes back to low intensity. So notice that this is without a flash or relay. It works as a blinker. Now coordination between front and rear I haven't done yet. So I don't know if the flash rates between the front turn signal and the rear turn signal would match. That'd be something else I can try to do later in another video, or when I get a little bit more time, wire up two modules together and see if I can get the same exact flash out of both lights. I'm hoping so, otherwise that would kind of stink. Alright, so this is the first mode of operation. Couple quick blinks, back to low intensity, so on and so forth. Alright, of course, as soon as you remove power from the high intensity circuit, you go back to the low intensity circuit. Another quick touch of the programming. It shows you the next mode of operation, goes back to low intensity. Of course, apply power to the high intensity circuit. And there you have it. There's your regular turn signal operation without a turn signal relay. So even if your turn signal relay ever goes out, just jumper the relay. You're still fused, so it's okay. And it should work just great. Next mode of operation. This should just be steady, quick, successive flashes with no pause in between. This of course can get pretty annoying if you were to actually run this without a turn signal relay to pause the flashing. So I definitely do not recommend this one if you don't have a relay in there. This next one looks like it's just a slow flash. Almost like your regular turn signal. Much more like an incandescent. It has a slower on, slower off. It's almost like a regular turn signal. Touch it one more time, and we're back to the successive pulses with a break in between. There's all your modes of operation. Alright guys, so what I've done now is I've turned the work light just a little bit so I can show you guys the light output. Right now I've got the low intensity circuit on. You can tell it's not a lot of illumination, but this is against the garage light. Still pretty bright. Actually, this light's getting a little warm. It does have thermal protection in it, from what Mike was telling me in emails. If the light does get too hot, it does start pulling power back a little bit to protect the LEDs. So no worries there. Because of issues with the flash rates, because I wanted to definitely show the difference between the stock flasher and the Zepto light, I'm going to turn the running light off so I can just show you guys the difference. And the other thing I need to do is I'm going to show you guys the stock light first, and then we'll go into the then I'll show you the light output from the Zepto light. So with that, you can tell by the brightness against the garage door. It's definitely not the brightest thing out there. There you can see the reflection a little bit. Take a good look at that. Put it in your memory bank. I'm going to take a second to switch the lights over and I'll show you the light output from the Zepto light. Alright, I still have the stock turn signal connected because otherwise the flash rate would be way too fast. But you'll see how easily the Zepto light overpowers the stock taillight and the greater field of view that these things have. You'll be able to see the whole garage door lights up back there. You can see the little tiny hotspot from the stock turn signal, but overall the Zepto light just completely overwhelms it. Just super, super bright. You can tell all the way across the garage where the light output is. It's just very, very big. Very awesome. Very awesome product. Can I do light output in comparison to the front? Can you even tell? I don't think I can put that in the front either. I think there's already too much crap in there. So let's see what happens. Alright, last thing I want to show is the difference between the three lights I do have. I do have the 1125R turn signals up front, the mirrors. View sucks, but before the Zepto lights, those were a great addition to the front end, just to make myself a little bit more visible making turns. So here's the light output. Stock, you can see the 1125R turn signals are quite a bit brighter than the stock turn signals. Keep that in mind for just a second. Let me pan the camera around just so you see exactly how much light output there is. Now remember, that's with the 1125R turn signals and the stock ones. So I'm going to go and I'm going to actually put the Zepto light hooked up to the front turn signal, put it up there so we can see a full comparison of all three. Alright, so now I've got all three hooked up. The 1125Rs, the Zeptos, and the stockers. I just checked the video, you won't see the stock turn signals at all. It's really just a comparison between the 1125Rs and the Zeptos. And there you have it. You see there's a lot of additional light output as I pan the camera around. Do the Zeptos outperform the 1125Rs? A little hard to see in the video as I lose focus completely. I do think in person they are a little bit brighter, but not by much at all. So if you have an 1125R or a CR for that matter, and you're running those blinkers, I would probably say that the Zeptos are best on the rear and not the front. The difference between those is relatively minor. Of course, comparing the stock turn signal to Zepto, there's a huge difference between the two. But choosing between the 1125Rs and the Zepto is a little bit difficult. The 1125Rs do have a little bit more of an amber color. The Zeptos are, due to their brightness, are more into the yellow. But that has more to do with the brightness level. I'm sure if the 1125Rs were brighter, they'd be the exact same shade as the Zeptos. Of course, the running light is a great addition. If you do have the 1125 turn signals already, this would be an easy way to get running lights up front. So check into it. If you have any questions, just message me on the forum or post it up on the group buy thread. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If there's any other videos that you guys would like of the operation, just let me know. I'll come back out in the garage and I'll hook it up. Thanks for watching.